Hello friends, this is Kevin, aka K-Man1, coming at you with another episode of Pokemon FireRed version. In the last episode, we got our first Pokemon, and we also acquired our Pokedex, and in this episode, we're gonna finally be setting out on our big, fancy, amazing, fantastic Pokemon journey. And Gary said that we shouldn't bother seeing his sister to get a map, but we're gonna get a map anyways. And I'm never gonna use it because it's a pretty worthless item, and I already know where everything is in Kanto. But I'm gonna get it just to spite Gary, because that's how we roll. If we go talk to our mom, she's just gonna say the exact same thing and rest our Pokemon, which is cool if you need it, but I'm not that low on health if memory serves, so yeah. And if I happen to run into a Pokemon, I can go ahead and show off how catching works. Yep. And this isn't a Pokemon I'm going to be using on my team, but I figure since now we have the ability to catch other Pokemon, I may as well show that off. Alright, so basically what you're going to want to do is, I don't want to use a potion, basically you're going to want to get it to relatively low HP, and status effects will give higher catch rates, and really didn't catch. Alright, this may be a problem because if I hit it again, it'll definitely get KO'd, but it's not really low enough to have a really easy catch rate. But anyways, different status debuffs will make catching easier, but I will be going over the different debuffs as we access them, because as it stands, we don't really have the ability to inflict or get inflicted by any. And I'm not going to bother nicknaming the Pidgey, because I'm not going to be using it. So yeah. Anyways, that was our first capture, and so now I'm going to finally show off the inside of a Pokemon Center. Basically, this nurse behind the counter will be a full party heal, which is very, very nice, and it's free, and you can go here as much as you want. And in my personal playthroughs, I am just compulsively going back to Pokemon Centers after every single battle. It's kind of a problem. And this is the PC storage system. You can deposit Pokemon. Again, how animals are stored as data is beyond me. But, I mean, you know, technology is amazing. So yeah. And I don't know if I've mentioned it yet, but I am playing this on the Game Boy player, which is based... Actually, no, I'm not going to go this way yet. But I'm playing this on the Game Boy player, which is basically a first-party emulator of the Game Boy Advance, which attaches to your GameCube, and so that's why there's like the whole space border and everything around this. But anyways, in this route, interrupted by a wild encounter. But it's just as well, because there is a wild Pokemon available on this route that is going to be very, very useful to you if you happen to be starting with Charmander. I'm not personally going to be picking it up, but that Pokemon is Mankey. And also, if you go up here, there will be a battle with none other than Gary Oak, but it's not something we're really prepared for right now. So I just want to point that out in case you feel like either picking up a Mankey or feel like failing miserably against your rival, because let's face it, if you're the same level that I am right now, which is a level 6 Charmander, then yeah, you're not really going to stand much of a chance at all. This old man is going to force you into a catching Pokemon tutorial, but since I already showed you how to catch Pokemon, we can basically just... oops. If you press L and R, then it'll pull up like a stuff menu. I don't really know how to call it. But yeah, you're forced into a catching tutorial, so you basically just kinda gotta watch. And the old man was the root of the missing no glitch in the original games. And basically the way that worked was, I don't know, it's kind of complicated with programming stuff, but basically it would store your trainer data as wild Pokemon encounter data, and then you would go into a place, there was like a patch of water on Cinnabar Island that would use weird stuff with wild Pokemon encounter data. And so basically you would encounter your player character as a wild Pokemon. So yeah. Or at least that's my understanding of it, but again, I'm not super great with computers. That's just basically how I've come to understand it as the years have gone by. Anyways, here we are in Viridian Forest, which is our first dungeon, technically, but there's not really that much to it. And there are a handful of Pokemon you can get here. Most commonly, you're going to be coming across stuff like Caterpie, which does evolve into one of the strongest early game Pokemon, but I'm personally not going to be using it because I don't know, just because I don't feel like it. But anyways, there is a Pokemon here that I'm looking at getting, so I will go ahead and cut ahead to when I finally find it. Finally! Oh my goodness, it has taken me like forever and a year to find even one of these Pokemon. And the fun thing about how long it's taken me is that this isn't even my first time recording trying to catch this Pikachu. No, it took me a solid 25 minutes last time, and then another good 10 minutes right now in order to find one Pikachu. Anyways, Pikachu, it's an electric type Pokemon. It's basically the mascot of the entire Pokemon series, and it's what I'm going to be using on my team if I can catch it. But I only have 3 Pokeballs, so hopefully... Okay, yes, caught the Pikachu. Oh my goodness. Ugh. Alright. So I had a nickname in mind, but I think I'm gonna name it something a little bit more appropriate for all the trouble it put me through having to catch it. Alright, yes, the Pikachu's name is gonna be Jerk. This Pokemon was a jerk to catch. Anyways, I'm gonna head to the Pokemon Center to heal up, and then I'll be right back to finally actually explore Viridian Forest. Alright, and we're back in Viridian Forest. And so the first thing you're going to want to do is check the tree right here, and you'll get an antidote. An antidote will cure the poison status, and basically poison is your Pokemon will take damage every turn. I believe it's 1/8 of its HP. I might be wrong on that. But it takes a portion of its HP and damage every turn. And then in the field, you will also take 1 damage every 4 steps or so. So it can be a really... Can I stop running into wild Pokemon? I found what I was looking for. I don't need any of your Weedles. Alright. I'm probably mostly going to cut out wild Pokemon encounters from here. But I mean, I am going to be getting access to an item soon enough that eliminates wild Pokemon encounters as being a problem. But here's something that I kind of want to point out. If you ever come across like a high-level Cocoon Pokemon like this, all they have is the move Harden, which means they'll be raising their defense, but there's not really much they can do against you, so definitely use these as experience spots when you find them. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and cut ahead to the end of this battle. Alright, so yeah, poison status, you take damage every turn, and then also in the field you take damage, and they removed that as an effect, I believe, in the 5th generation, so y'all youngsters don't know the real struggles. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this item, even though I'm probably gonna get at least 1 encounter for it. But I'm gonna call worth because free potions early game are always nice. Alright. And so, working our way on up here. Technically this is an avoidable battle, but it is our first example of a generic trainer battle. So, we're gonna go ahead and jump into it with our newly acquired Jerk. And something you can do against Pokemon that are higher leveled than you is if you want to raise a low-level Pokemon, basically what you can do is put it in front of your party and then switch out to a higher-level Pokemon to actually do the fighting for it. And so that's a really good way to do things when you're trying to, you know, keep your party's levels fairly even and all that kind of stuff. And if you acquired a new Pokemon, usually it'll be lower leveled than anything else you have. So definitely a good strategy to keep in mind. So this Weedle is really intent on lowering my speed stat. And see, here's the thing about the move Poison Sting. It doesn't have hardly any base power, but it has a ridiculously high chance of causing the poison status. So fortunately it hasn't done it yet, but now that I've said it, it's probably going to do it on the very last turn that it's alive. Nope, it didn't. I'm very, very happy about that. Because, much like my Pikachu, NPCs can be huge jerks about... Oh, Ember. Okay, that's going to be a really handy move. Ember is our first fire-type attack on Charmander, so he is finally going to be spitting that super hot fire. And something to know about it is that it can also cause the burn status, which, like Poison, does a little bit of damage every turn, but it also halves the opponent's attack stat if they get burned. So it's definitely really, really handy to use against strong physical attacking Pokemon. So yeah. And then Pikachu, also, since I have access to it now, I can go ahead and say, both its ability Static and its move Thundershock have the ability to cause paralysis, which will lower the afflicted Pokemon's speed to 1/4 and give them a chance of not being able to move, like, make any moves at all that turn. So, paralysis is also a really strong status effect, and all three, Burn, Poison, and Paralysis, are persistent effects, which means they will stay at the end of the battle and persist. Like, there are other status effects which just wear off after a few turns, but Burn, Poison, and Paralysis are all persistent, and so the only way to heal them is using an item or going to a Pokemon Center. And I'm gonna go ahead and skip all non-required trainer battles from here, but I will be off-screening them just because I really, really want that experience. But yeah, and all persistent status effects will increase catch rates by 1.5 times, I believe. And yes, contrary to popular belief, Burn and Poison actually do help catch rates, which is very, very handy. And so, just working our way through the forest here. There are quite a handful of bug catchers, like that guy in particular wasn't even there in the original games. So, fun fact for you. And these wild encounters are really starting to get on my nerves, but I'm always in the middle of a thought as soon as one appears, so I don't want to, like, stop talking, even though nothing, like, interesting is happening on screen. And really, really, the last square of grass. This game really is just... This game is being my Pikachu right now. A jerk. And I had a different name in mind for Pikachu, but I feel like this one is much more appropriate, given how much trouble I had to go through in order to catch it. Anyways, this is going to be the last stretch of grass, and this bug catcher comes with the expectation that you've battled everyone else along the way, but since I haven't, he's going to be a little bit powerful, but nothing I can't handle between the powers of Jerk and Super Hot. And hopefully I can get the paralysis off on him, because that is going to be very, very handy in taking him down. But I'm not counting on it, because it's just like the completely canny thing where whenever you use moves that have secondary effects, they never go off. But when the opponents use them, they always go off. So like they always get the poison and always get the paralysis and all that kind of stuff. It's really, really obnoxious. And those of you who have ever played games with RNG elements know what I'm talking about. The computer just straight up cheats. It's really, really not fair. Really, really unpleasant. And it's really all there is to it. Anyways, that Weedle just got a critical hit. And I'm pretty sure I already explained it. But it's a fairly low chance of occurring for most moves. And it's just double damage is all that it is. So, very handy. Also, it will ignore if your Pokemon's attack stat has been lowered, and if the opponent has raised their defense stat, or the appropriate one for the particular move. So for Thundershock, it would be special attack and special defense and whatever with Poison Sting. So yeah, critical hits, cool stuff, but completely luck-based, so yeah. Anyways, that was Viridian Forest, and so, for making our way through, Route 2 has the same Pokemon as before, so yeah. And anyways, here we are in Pewter City. So, I think that's a pretty good amount of stuff we've done this episode. So, I will see you next time when we will explore Pewter City a little bit more and also take care of some other stuff. See you guys then.